Hey guys, so in this video what we're going to do is continue on with the Allied faction campaign. We're going to go to single player here from that main screen, and we're going to go to load save game. And at that point we're going to go to Eagle Dawn, which is the second Allied campaign, and we're going to hit load mission.
Squared away, sir!
How about a target?
Ready!
And from here, we're going to notice right off the bat, we've got a limited selection of units available to us.
I've located a group of Rocketeers in Colorado Springs. They're ready to move in on our orders.
So right off the bat, we're going to notice we have a very limited number of units available to us. What we're going to do is take stock of what we've got here. So we've got Special Agent Tanya for this mission again. And we've got 2 GIs and 3 engineers available to us. Also introduced here is a new infantry unit that we haven't seen up until this point. So you'll notice that these guys are known as Rocketeers, and you'll notice they're flying. And this is an infantry unit that we're going to touch on more in a couple minutes here, but these guys can traverse the terrain very easily because they can essentially fly over any object that you see. So for example, we got this mountain here. Your infantry units that are on the ground would obviously have to walk around this if you wanted to get them right to this spot. Compare that to your Rocketeers, they just fly directly over that. So they're very maneuverable, and we will give an example of their offensive firepower in a moment here. Another thing you'll notice right off the bat is that we've got this crate here. And the crates that you might find on the map, they appear randomly oftentimes, or for some of these campaign missions they are preset. But if you're playing like an exhibition skirmish match, for example, you can set it to the mode where those will just pop up randomly, and those can help you throughout the game if you are able to get them. But in any case, this is just a randomized perk that you can find on the map. So some of the crates will give you extra money, more funds. Some of them will give you instant veteran status, more firepower, better armor, and the list goes on. So whatever unit you use to select or you use to acquire that crate will receive the perk from that crate. And we're going to go ahead and see. So that crate in particular had an armor upgrade, which we used Tanya to get that armor upgrade. So her health, her armor is a little better in this case. So what we're going to do now is continue on with this mission here. We're going to move our units into the unrevealed terrain towards this base here.
How about some action?
And the premise of this mission is that the Soviet forces have taken over the Air Force Academy. Another thing that we can notice here on the right side of our screen is we have a couple of tabs at the very top as well. And clicking one of these tabs pauses the game, but it also gives you some more information. So you'll see that if you hover over that tab for more than a couple of seconds, it will pop up as the briefing button. You can click that, and it will give you a rundown of the mission as far as the storyline goes. So Soviet troops cover America like a foul plague. They have even penetrated our heartland to capture the Air Force Academy in Colorado. The Academy, its cadets, and the unique technology it contains are vital to our defense. Use Tanya to contact any American forces in the area, reclaim our Air Force Academy, and drive the Soviets from the area. And then it will give you a breakdown of your objectives. Objective number 1, capture the Soviet-occupied Air Force Academy chapel, destroy all Soviet forces, and keep Tanya alive. So objective 3 will be thrown in there sometimes if you have a mission where you have control over Special Agent Tanya. That's a very, very vital point, because if at any point during the mission she dies, you fail the whole thing. So that is a very key factor in this mission here. After you're done going through your objective tab, simply just hit resume on the bottom right corner of your page again, and that will bring you right back to the game. And even if you don't necessarily need to read your objectives, or you've already read the objectives, this does pause the game for you as well. So that is a good button to simply pause the game if needed. We have this right tab up here. Hover over that for a second. That's going to say options button for you. And that is more of the logistical things. I think that's officially the pause button for the game, although, like I said, the left briefing button does the same for you. But if you click that, that gives you kind of the logistical aspects of it. So you can adjust your game controls to your liking on here. You can save your game if you want to save it before you attempt something in terms of an offensive attack. That way you can come back to it if it fails, or you just want to save it and walk away and come back later. That is good for that too. Or you can simply abort mission and quit if you're done playing. Similar to the other tab, all you got to do is hit resume mission in the bottom there, and that brings you right back to your game. And at this point, what we're going to do is select our units and start moving towards that first objective of recapturing the Allied base a little bit northwest of us here.
Take it, baby! On there. How about on there?
So as we come into this unrevealed terrain, there are Soviet forces that are running around here
On there.
that we've got to be careful of. We're also going to bring our Rocketeers a little closer for us as
On my
well.
way.
You got an order? How about a target?
Order it.
How about some action?
And the best way to approach recapturing this first objective here
And over.
is to kind of set all your
Yes, sir.
infantry units on this side of this body of water,
Got an order?
and then
On my way.
since Special Agent Tanya can swim, we're going to move her through this body of water while these guys wait.
Locked
And we're going to take out this guy here,
How about a target?
and at this point we're just going to move her straight into this base. It's not very well guarded. Just going to take out a few more infantry units here,
On there.
and immediately you'll notice a few things here. We got this building here, which is a defensive structure that we haven't seen at this point yet. So if you hover over that, you're going to realize that's known as your flak cannon. This is a Soviet defensive structure, and that is used exclusively for anti-air defense. So you'll notice that Tanya can stand right next to it, and that's not firing on her or anything like that, because that cannot fire upon units that are on the ground. That is simply going to fire at units in the air. So I'm not going to do it, but for example, if we were to take our Rocketeers and fly them straight into this base here, these flat cannons would begin taking them out pretty quickly. So what we're going to do is use Tanya to take out these two flat cannons, and that will result in the anti-air defense being taken out here. And at that point, since we've done that,
Pushing away.
you'll notice that a plane is going to come in here and drop some engineers for us.
Reinforcements have arrived.
And that also frees us up to move our Rocketeers in to begin firing at the sentry guns that are still present, that do the opposite as the flat cannons. So the sentry guns are defensive structures that fire upon units that are coming on the ground, and it cannot fire at units in the air, which makes it perfect for these Rocketeers to move in and destroy those sentry guns, making it safe for the remainder of our infantry to walk right into this base here.
Clear out the place. I can go anywhere.
New primary objective achieved.
Boosters.
New mission objective
Clear
received.
out the place.
Okay, you'll notice right off the bat that
Got boosters.
now that these sentry guns are gone, we can take these infantry units and simply move them right into this base. We've got some engineers that were dropped into this base, and we also have our 3 engineers that we began with here. So we can begin taking our engineers, placing them in these buildings, and that will turn these buildings from red to blue and back into our possession here.
I've got the knowledge.
You'll also notice that there are a couple of buildings we haven't seen yet.
Low power.
There is our construction yard, which we're familiar with, and then right off the bat, you'll see we have our Allied War Factory here. This is a building we haven't seen up to this point in the campaign. This is what allows the Allies to build tanks, essentially. And we'll see that tab become available to us in a moment when we put an engineer in here. You'll also see that we have this building here, which is your Air Force Command Headquarters. That provides radar for the Allied forces, and it also gives you the ability to build 4 of these Harrier jets, which you can use offensively against your opponent.
Need a repair?
So we're going to put an engineer in here, and we're going to take this building back into our possession.
Building captured. Incoming transmission.
So that prompted this transmission, and the Harrier jets are going to fly towards this Soviet base and essentially reveal that to us across the way a little bit. So before we do anything else, we're going to just send our engineers in the remaining buildings here
Building captured.
that still need to be taken
New
back over.
construction options. Building
I'm on
captured.
it.
Building.
All
New
right.
construction options.
So you'll see that we have a couple of tabs on the right side of the screen that we're familiar with and a couple that we haven't seen yet. So we've got our structure tab here. And the only thing we see here that we're not familiar with is the ability to build this war factory, which we're not going to do because we already have one. So there's no need to do that. If we click over to our defense tab here, which is indicated by that little shield, you see we have pillboxes, which we encountered in the previous video. And the only new thing we see in this tab is the wall.
Construction complete.
So
Building.
we're going to build a wall and demonstrate how that is done.
Construction complete.
You'll see the first time that your wall
Building.
construction is finished, you're going to have to start with just the initial 1x1 square. And
Construction
then from that
complete.
square you can build off of. So if you left click and hold and drag, you'll see that that wall can be extended in one direction, essentially as far as you'd like it to be. So for example, if we go like that, that's going to build us a wall just like that, and so on and so forth. You can continue on and build a wall around your entire base if that was what you chose to do. Luckily, we already have that pre-constructed for us, so we don't need to do too much playing around with the walls here.
Construction complete.
But we are going to continue building these pillboxes
Sir, yes, sir.
just to provide a little bit of a defensive structure here for our base.
Construction complete. Building.
You'll see we have our infantry tab as well on the right side of the screen. We're familiar with 3 out of the 4 of these infantry options here.
Construction complete.
The only thing that's new is the Rocketeer tab. You essentially have the ability to train Rocketeers now. We have 8 of them already that were provided to us, so we're not going to train any more. But that is available to us if need be. And we have a completely new tab that we haven't seen up to this point. That is the Vehicles tab on the far right here. And if you click that tab, you see we only have a couple of options here. We have our Chrono Miner here, which you can build additional units of, and that is just more units of this guy here. So if you wanted to build more of these, you would have more units gathering resources for you and your money in the top right corner, and ultimately your ability to train units and build buildings would increase faster as more resources were being picked up. We also have our Grizzly tank available to us, which is the most basic of the allied tank units, at least in terms of offense. So we'll build one of those to take a look at that.
Building.
Where's the party? How about some action?
Ready, got it. Double time.
Construction complete. Unit
Got an
ready.
order, boss.
Building.
So this is our Grizzly tank right here. This is the basic allied tank unit.
Securing
And we're
position.
going to move
Bound
him.
forward.
Let's build a couple of them and we'll
Construction
see
complete.
what they can do
Building.
offensively for us. We'll
New
put
rally
them
point established.
out on the battlefield in a moment.
Building.
And why not? Let's just keep building pillboxes here.
New rally point established. Training. New rally
And you'll
point
see the reason I'm
established.
building these defenses in a moment here, but in the meantime, I'm going to teach you a trick for this particular mission. If you take your Rocketeers and move them to the top of the
Unit
map,
ready.
and then directly across and behind the Soviet
Unit
base,
ready.
there's a pretty simple tactic to
Tanks are filled.
beat this mission
Unit ready.
quite quickly.
You got an order? How about
Got-
a target?
We have some Soviet infantry coming our
Unit
way. I'm
ready.
going to move Agent Tanya out here to take care of those
Unit
guys.
ready. Building.
You got an order? I'm on it. I'm on it.
Square away, sir.
Construction complete.
So we've got our Rocketeers back behind this base here. And if we move them into the base, you'll notice that the Soviet infantry units do not have the ability to fire into the air. So, as the Rocketeers move in behind the base here, nothing placed back here has the ability to fire on them. So they're just pretty much going to sit back here and wreak havoc for us. Now, if we were to approach the front of the base with the Rocketeers, you'll notice that they have some flat cannons here with the ability to shoot in the air at whatever airborne units might be coming their way. But there's nothing back here that is able to do that. So if you sneak in the back with your Rocketeers, you can simply start to destroy the structures back here with little repercussion.
I can see 'em. All fired up.
You'll notice some units start to move in here.
Pushing away.
Now, here we've got the Soviet construction yard here, and this is what allows this AI to construct their base. So the moment I take this guy out, they won't be able to build any more structures. So subsequently, if I take this out and then continue on through the base and take out this Soviet barracks, they would not be able to construct another barracks because they wouldn't have their main base, their construction yard. Therefore, the production of their infantry units would be completely halted for the remainder of this mission. So with that in mind, the most important structure to target is going to be the construction yard, and from there you can really continue destroying the base, and that will really halt the production of enemy units coming your direction.
They won't see us coming.
We're going to go ahead and take out this construction yard, and the reason I built up the defenses around my base in particular was because the moment that this construction yard is destroyed, the enemy is going to just send everything they currently have built in my direction. So you'll see that the Rhino tanks, which is what this unit here is called, are kind of
Unit promoted.
driving around in circles, and the moment that construction yard is destroyed, everything starts moving towards my base.
Rockets in the sky. Check out the. They won't see
So
us
I
coming.
want to be prepared
New
for
rally
that,
point established.
because everything is going to reach my base
Training.
essentially at the same time
New
here.
rally point established.
Anytime.
Unit
boss.
promoted.
Thanks, I got 'em.
And one thing we can see now, we
Commander?
can take our
Unit
Grizzly
ready.
tanks and use them to attack
Base
the
is under
Soviet
attack.
miners here, because that's going to be the best unit to utilize for that reason.
Unit ready.
Anytime. I got a target. On my way.
Ore
You'll see
miner
that
under attack. Unit
Grizzly tank
lost.
is just a very basic
Our base is under
offensive
attack.
tank
Ore miner
that we can
under
utilize on the Allied side of
Unit
things.
promoted.
Doesn't do a ton of damage, but it is somewhat effective in destroying the armor of the Soviet forces here. So now that that kind of rush is taken care of, we can click back over here to our Rocketeers, and like I said, since they don't really have a lot of anti-air, they're just kind of sitting here
Clear view, sir.
without any repercussion.
He's got no place to hide. All fired up.
And from here we can just continue on
Fuel tank filled.
dispatching this
Unit
base.
promoted.
Riding. He's got no place to hide. Got a clear view, sir. Got a clear view, sir.
Unit promoted.
Pushing away. Clear out
And
the
one
way.
thing we touched on previously in this video as well is that one of the objectives is to keep Tanya alive. That's a very important thing to keep in mind as you do this. I've made this mistake several times where I just kind of leave her lingering in the base here, and I take my Rocketeers over this way, and I begin to destroy these buildings, and then all of a sudden I'll get the message, the mission failed message, kind of flash across the screen
Check out the view.
because I wasn't paying enough attention to my base back here, and they had snuck in and eliminated her, and at that point, like I said, the entire mission will be failed.
They won't see us coming.
So, something to keep in mind. You gotta have a balance between
All fired up.
going on offense and kind of keeping an eye on the Soviet base that you take care of. Compare that to
Ready to soar.
keeping an eye on your own base and making sure that
I got 'em.
everything is still protected and your defenses are in good shape over there.
Got a steady flow. Up and over.
Okay, and that's all there is to it. Once you dispatch that Soviet base,
Have arrived.
mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished.
And that will conclude the second Allied mission in the campaign here. As you'll see, this end screen pops up. We've got our par time in the bottom left, 25 minutes. We were able to do that in 18 minutes, utilizing that trick with the Rocketeers coming around the backside of that Soviet base. So we will get a pretty positive message up top. Your rank is Master Sergeant. Your tank blitz stunned the Soviets, ending the battle in a few short hours. So essentially that is just the type of message you'll get when you do better than that par time there. And that's all there is to it. That is the second Allied mission.